We are under frontal attack. The Olympic ceremony showed us what it's all about. It showed us about the masters who rule over this world. It was a showcase of wokeness and beyond wokeness. It was satanic. It was demonic. Most of the show, the problem is that it wasn't just elements of the show, it was the whole show itself. It was such a big deal that a backlash happened. And it is this backlash which forced the Olympics, the organizers of the infrastructure of the Olympics, to actually remove this horrible footage from their official websites with the videos of the ceremony. They also took down all of the videos in general. The copyright bot. It's impossible to go through the copyright bot. I've tried to make a video with a full analysis, but it didn't work. I spent 10 hours to edit it. I'm actually at the point where I'm getting sick of this stuff because I keep having to modify videos and re-uploading them to see if I can circumvent the bot, but I can't. So I'm just gonna make this video where I'm just gonna talk, and I'm gonna tell you to go to Rumble, where I have the actual video that I made with my scripted, edited video that shows all the points. When you speak freely like this, you can't express all the points. I have a lot of problems with this. Now, these people are satanic through their imagery and through what policies they have. So, for example, you're not allowed to use religious symbols at this event. If you're an athlete, on your shirt or on anything, they banned the surfboards of the people of the athletes from Brazil because they have Jesus Christ on them, and you can't have Jesus Christ in this new world order world that they're trying to build, as we've seen in the opening ceremony. We know what they're about. They're only about the LGBTQ community. They're only about the song Imagine, which was sang and nobody talked about it. And in that song you have the lyrics: imagine there's no heaven, imagine there's no countries, imagine there's no possessions, and imagine there's no religion. Because they want to build this utopian world of peace and without religion. Yes, that's what they believe in, but in building such a world, you remove the spirit, and that's why we are here. We are here to save our spirits and to join the kingdom of heaven. So these people, they say they're for inclusion. In fact, the Olympics director or president said it in the speech at the Olympic ceremony. He said that yeah, we're happy to be so inclusive, and this year we have full gender parity, he said. So that means, he was happy that we have transgenders, which is men who think they are women and they can compete in women's sports. So what happened to all the feminism? The show was about feminism too. So LGBTQ stuff and feminism. So nothing was presented that was masculine or about a white male strength. It was all about historical women of France. They had these statues that were lifted up by some kind of automatic process. And these statues were of not just any woman from the history of France, but of feminists, of activists and anarchists. Females who imagined not equality, but who imagined matriarchy. In fact, on one of the statues in the presentation, if you read closely, but no one is reading, everyone's just clapping like retards. So it was a description that said she imagined a full female government. So where's the equality in that? They just want to take down the patriarchy and replace it with the matriarchy, well, that doesn't solve any issue. So that's why I say feminism is cancer. The LGBTQ people shown, which there were a lot of them, as like my gaydar was going off the scale, they were showing men and men kissing with other men, and then the same person kissing with the female, or like, this whole debauchery that, you can have multiple relationships, and it doesn't matter. That they don't promote this idea of man and woman anymore. It's all about having degenerate, abnormal forms of relationships. And so you had this scene with these LGBTQ people going through the library, and they were pulling up some books. And some of those books are French books, and I guess they were trying to show the French culture, but the only culture that they shown, if you read the titles of those books, and these people, these strange looking people, I might add, were taking out these books. These books were about sex perversions. One of the books was called The Devil of the Flesh, or something like that, but it wasn't talking against it, it was about it. So it was like, I checked the description of that book, and it was a woman having a relationship with a 16-year-old boy. So these people are for pedophilia. They are advocating for it. And then when they dance, there's a scene where they dance on the bridge with the bearded woman. And that's a theme that you see in other European contests. And this is a world contest. Why do the Europeans decide? I guess, look, I'm straying off. So there were some LGBTQ people dancing on the bridge with the bearded woman. That was actually just a man wearing woman lingerie, of course, and dancing in a sexy way, in a sexy female way, doing a catwalk and all that for all the kids to see around the world, because families are watching this. And someone's balls were hanging out at one point. That was hanging out. His balls were out of his pants. And this is not a mature event. It's just a sports event. What does this have to do with sports? Inclusion and what is it? Tolerance. Tolerance to be degenerate in front of children. And they had a child on stage. That's what I was saying. They're trying to groom these people. They're trying to groom kids into their sect, into their cult of sexual perversion. They work slow, They have patience. Maybe in the next 20 years, they're going to try to advocate. They're already starting to say that it's just these are people that just need help. I'm not very well educated in this, but I can tell that something is wrong. I'm just a regular guy living on a mountain in Romania. I'm a Christian. And I didn't want to say this at the Olympic ceremony, and so did 2.5 other billion Christians around the world. And then they have this guy getting an award for setting up the refugee Olympics team, and it shows mostly Africans. Well, probably those Africans are Christians as well, and they didn't appreciate what was going on here. But yeah, the refugee thing, that's another brainwash, It's like, yeah, just let all the refugees pour into Europe. And France had a big scandal with immigrants this year, with riots. There's all kinds of violences going on the streets with some aspects of this refugee business. They don't talk about that. They just give awards for the refugee team. But look, the refugee team, those guys are just sportsmen. It's fine. They're probably Christian. They're good. They have good values. I'm not saying about them. They're probably okay people. So we had LGBTQ plus propaganda we have feminism propaganda, and we have refugee propaganda, and we have satanic propaganda. They had a bull on the stage, and we know what the bull is. Despite what they said that it represents, we know what the bull is. The elites, the elites worship the gods of the pre-Christian gods of Babylon and the Canaanites, the god Moloch, which was a bull god you would sacrifice children to. We know this stuff. And we don't want it in the Olympics. If you're gonna ban people's surfboards for having Jesus Christ on it, then why do you have a bull on stage? Why do you have all this degenerate stuff that's like a cult too, actually? So again, please check out my video on Rumble. I will post it in the description. It's very detailed interpretation from the start to finish. Of course, they had Lady Gaga perform at the event. They had Lady Gaga, the satanic whore that these people are using, the instrument of the elites when it comes to manipulating young people who listen to that music. When she says things like, take the vaccine, it's great, or feminism is great, or LGBTQ people are great. And her music is trash. It's just some average dance music. It's not interesting at all. Of course, she posed here as an angel. She had some wings at the end, some fluffy wings. Well, we all know that she had wings, but dark angel wings in her videos. So I don't want her to be shown at a world event. A lot of people, if they knew this stuff, they wouldn't want this at the event. But guess what? There's a lot of people, even Christians, who don't know about this stuff. They just look at it and say, "Oh, it's fascinating." So we gotta wake up from this. We gotta know what's going on. The woke stuff is very much part of their agenda. But guess what? Get woke, go broke. Because companies are starting to pull off their sponsorship from the Olympics. Like a wireless company. One of the top wireless companies, internet wireless companies from the United States, just pulled out their money. Because of the Last Supper mockery. How can you mock Jesus Christ? A lot of the public watching is probably Christian. So you can't just disrespect all these people watching. Some of them own the companies that sponsor your show. And guess what? You know that there was like this fat woman DJ. I don't know what it's about these people, but they're all kind of ugly too. All these LGBTQ people. And so this was the Jesus Christ that was presented. And she posted on her social media that this is the new gay testament. So they're turning the New Testament, our holy book, into the new gay testament. Well, of course this is offensive to everyone. And then you have these people at the Olympics, acting like they don't know what's going on. They're like, "Oh, we're sorry if it offended you. This was just a clear message of tolerance. I'm sorry if you were offended by my clear message. That wasn't intentionally trying to offend you." When it clearly was. These LGBTQ people know exactly how to attack Christians and how to mock them. And that's what they did. So they had to pull off their videos because of backlash. Get woke, go broke. It can also be like this. A lot of companies are pressured to doing woke shit now. So probably one of these woke representatives went to the president of the Olympics and was like, "Yeah, we're trying to do a nice thing for inclusion and tolerance. It's going to be a very nice event. Trust us." And then he was like, yeah, sure. Do what you want. It's fine. But they didn't expect it to go this heavy, man. They didn't expect them to go this crazy with all the drag queens and the weird stuff we've seen. And now it backfired. It backfired on them. Now, this could also be the case. And now they're in panic mode. But I am of the opinion that this was planned. Just like anything else. They try to experiment on us, and if they see that we are okay with it, then they're going to continue and they're going to pressure for more changes into the wrong direction towards their new world order. And we should be completely against it. We should be against it. We should be active against it, pressing against their stuff so that they see that we can't be fooled. They're all part of the same clan that also made the COVID lockdowns. And the artists that they use are for the same propaganda. Like Lady Gaga, for example, she was one of those people saying, stay at home, take your vaccine, it's great, So she does all this LGBTQ stuff and all vaccine propaganda and all the other types of propaganda, satanic imagery in her videos. There was just way too much gay stuff, and they involved children too. That's what's really, really crazy. And at the beginning of the film, this was directed by Steven Spielberg, and they had a short film section for the Olympics that would appear from time to time to add immersion to the Olympics. It had some children in it, and those children go in a metro with the torch offered to them by Zinedine Zidane. And they go into the underground, into the catacombs of France, through the skulls and rats. That's not a good place for children to be. And then they meet this figure that became the new torch carrier, a figure without a face, a figure with a hood on. He almost looked like Death. Death. So he takes these children with some creepy background music, like some organs, creepy organs, and he takes them into the underground, into the depth of the sewer. And then the footage pans out. Like, man, when you know the stuff that's going on in Hollywood, with the Steven Spielberg, he's also a Jew. And you know what's going on in Hollywood with those pedophile cases. When you see in the Epstein Island stuff, with the elite parties, with pedophile elite parties, you know that these people are absolutely deranged. 100% deranged. So I'm going to be worried. I'm going to be suspicious when I see a bunch of kids in some mysterious, strange footage like that. And then they run around surrounded by people dressed in pink, who probably are in support of the LGBTQ agenda. And like this deaf figure with the hood on, he ends up on a horse. Well, he turns into a she at that point, but it's the same figure, the same lifeless figure, kind of transhumanistic in a way, with all the... it's kind of robotic looking. And she carries the Olympic flag on a horse, which is a pale horse. And we know in the Bible, the passage with the pale horse, behold the pale horse. Just go and search, behold the pale horse, Bible passage, and you will see about the pale horse, which brought forth wars and hunger and death and the monsters of the earth, the beasts. So I think we have hunger, we have wars going on in Ukraine that could escalate to a world war. We have the war between the Jews and the Palestinians that could also escalate. And the only thing that is left is to have the beasts unleashed upon the earth. That's the only thing that's left. So we see this horse floating above the water, above the Seine, bringing the Olympics flag to the stage. And the stage itself has a bull god on it. It has a bull god on it, a Canaanite bull god, and then the Canaanites used to sacrifice children. And they lift the flag exactly next to the bull god on the stage. They could have put the pole in the center, but no, it's on the side of, right next to the bull representation. And then they give us these speeches about inclusivity. They modified even the Olympics oath to contain stuff about inclusivity. So this is getting ridiculous. And then They had these athletes go through through something similar to the Arc of Triumph, a Roman-style arc. And we know that there is possibly a Roman control over things as well. And that Arc of Triumph, the smaller one was dedicated to the people who died at the end of the Napoleonic Wars, the victims of that. A useless war, if you ask me. And they tried to invade Russia then, and I guess where that ended, it ended up in failure. Then it got dedicated to the soldiers of World War I and II. And I guess there was a lot of white people, a lot of white men dying, a lot of white male Christians dying in those wars. And for what? For what? Because now everyone is against Christians, against white male Christians, and everything has to be woke. You know, France is a country majority white. They had some black woman sing the anthem, and then as the anthem was playing, or just immediately after, they were showing a bunch of feminists, and nothing about men, nothing about great men. If you're about equality, show historical, okay, do your thing, show the historical females. Well, actually, don't show those that the anarchists and the, those feminists we wanted to imagine a complete female government, like we've seen depicted in the show. But show us some great females from French history, and then show some great men if you want equality. But no, they don't want that. I didn't see a single male. Okay, there was this one section with a choir, a military choir from France, and instruments, a fanfare of brass instruments. And those people, okay, they were cool, they did their thing, but then they had to ruin it by shoving another black woman from the world of pop music, and ruin the whole thing and have it like a collaboration. Because you can't just have a white male thing. It has to be destroyed either with some woke stuff, because they suffer of white guilt for the colonial stuff they did, But it's like, do they really think that these woke points that they get now, do they think that by shoving black people in places that completely ruin immersion will somehow forgive their sins for committing violence on black people in the past? Of course not. It's not like it was all bad anyway. After the violences, those places received a lot of progress, technological progress, and not only that, but spiritual too. They got converted from their tribal, some of them cannibals. They got converted to Christianity. And guess what? Now the African people are some of the most based Christian people you can find. They have that guy who on TV was like, "Why are you transgender? Why are you gay?" They're more courageous than us. I might just move to Africa. No, I'm just kidding, because I'm pretty good here in the mountains of Romania. No one cares about there's no LGBT community here, except maybe in the capital or in some big cities, but not in the rural areas. But this high-level brainwash pisses me off. So I have to talk against it. Any Christian person should talk against it. I used to be a counterculture person. I used to be the different guy. The different guy at school who would draw things like action stuff, I would even draw monsters. I would be into music. I would listen to a lot of heavy metal and electronic underground music. Back then, being in part of the alternative was cool. And sure, I was a little bit bullied for it, but I didn't ask for a social justice warrior revenge. That's not how you reach people. You reach people by talking to them. And not about talking about degeneracy in any case. I'm not willing to talk about celebrating sin, but at least talking about it would be better than just shoving things in everyone's faces. I've been talking for a lot. I've been talking for a lot of time, and no one has time on YouTube. And I know this. I'm trying to think about things I forgot to say. Though we've seen Snoop Dogg, he was also rocking a chain that had a bull on it, like the possibly another Moloch reference, or the Baphomet. We know what these people are into. But just be vigilant. Okay? There was also this one scene which people didn't talk about, and it was about the reconstruction of the Notre Dame de Paris, which burned in 2019. We had some dancers on the builders themselves were dancing, but there was also other people dancing on some kind of platform, and with a lot of metallic symbols, gold, a mixture of gold, brass, iron, everything. So this could also be in reference to the empires that go all the way to the end times. And in the Bible it says the first empire is the gold one. So the golden one is Babylon. The second one is the Persian Empire. The third one is Rome. And the last one is a divided empire. The divided kingdoms, the iron mixed with the clay. So it's what we got now. It's the New World Order system, which brings the transhuman future and all this degenerate stuff. So I'm not saying, like, in this case it would be two symbols that point to the end of the world, this and the pale horse. I'm not saying it's going to be the end of the world, but these are symbols that we must take seriously as Christians and be careful with what's happening in the world and expose this stuff. Expose the things that we see. If you're a Christian or if you just are against the Illuminati and all this New World Order stuff, there's no excuse. You gotta make a channel somewhere and expose the stuff. And if you don't have time for such things, because they made the system in such a way that we only have some people only have time to survive, and then they only get a little bit free time left, then you can join my Discord. I have a Discord, we talk about different things there. And you can, if you see something, you can take a quick screenshot and you can send it to me on Discord. So it's such a shame. I spent so much time to build that video. Hours and hours and hours. More than 10 hours. This is for nothing. So, but you can view it on the Rumble. If you appreciate my efforts, because it's kind of a torture to do this. You know, it's hard to look at all this stuff. I didn't even want to look at the ceremony. But I looked at the ceremony because I knew there was going to be something like this. I didn't expect this amount of Satanism and woke stuff. Unfortunately, there was a lot of it. And I didn't even talk about all of it. There was also this section with Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, which was decapitated with the guillotine by the French revolutionaries. And the French Revolution was organized by the Illuminati, who infiltrated Freemasonry. They infiltrated, the fact checkers are going to tell you that Illuminati disbanded, but it's not true. Their mentality and their members infiltrated other secret societies which operate until today. Promote the same mindset of enlightenment through atheism and the destruction of Christianity and the old world, replace it with a new and degenerate world order. So the French Revolution brought forward the stepping stone to destroying the old world and inspiring this new world order. I may be wrong about all kinds of things. I know I'm probably superficial about many things, but man, something is going on. And if I can point out that something is going on, maybe someone who's more well-versed in these things can show up and can expose things better. But I'm going to keep on doing what I do. I'm going to point things out. And if you appreciate what I do, please check the description and support me. Because, like I said, it's hard to look at all this degenerate stuff and spend so much time on it, hours and hours and hours, only to be destroyed by the copyright, by the YouTube copyright. But we must try and stay strong and fight against this New World Order scum. All right? They're the deceivers, and they are being ruled by the ultimate deceiver, which is Satan himself. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Join my Discord if you want to talk about this stuff. This is Vostov Vlad, signing out.